All right, hello. So, I'm looking at James Pello's presentation. I would feel like a poser if I didn't get a little bit higher than this and gave critiques. So, I didn't get hardly any higher than this, but I did get just a little bit, so I think I could maybe give some pointers for what I did. So, jumping right into his analysis, we can see that there's a lot of price changes. A lot of price changes happening here. Everything's going up, up, up. Then you get Edgar going down into the summer months to try to sell more of it. This, I think, was a mistake. I'll get into that later. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to go straight into... I've done this twice now recording, and each time it's been over 10 minutes, so I'm trying to cut it down a bit in terms of time. So looking at the graph, we can see here, with all these price changes that are going on, Alleycat price change happens here. You can see massive sales, massive sales, massive sales, and then price change again, and then no sales and no more buying of inventory. I think this is a mistake. I know that we were told to lower the price and all that, but in my run through, I got a little bit higher, and I only changed the price of everything one time. I upped the price of everything by a little bit, and I upped the price to the exact same amount that James did here with the munch. Where is it? With his munch. Yeah, he upped it by he upped it to $16. I did the exact same thing, but I didn't touch it from that point on. And there was a lot of price changes happening here. So you can see that with the price changes happening right around this time in Edgar, he keeps bottoming out of Edgar before he can get new inventory. There it is again. There it is again. So it's just, you're running out of inventory because your prices are a little bit too low. And if you hadn't been changing the prices lower in the summertime, you wouldn't have had to worry about that as much. Same thing over here. Once you change the prices again, you're getting massive sales for Edgar, which is great. I mean, this is what you want to see. But it starts happening in the winter months. If you had just kept this price consistent throughout, you wouldn't have this exact same graph, obviously, because it's, winter, summer, winter. But it would be more consistent in terms of running out of inventory. Munch here, you can see bought a ton of Munch right off the bat. That was a good move, because that means you're not going to run out of it as quickly. But he goes into talk about marketing here. This is a mistake in my opinion. For how James used this, I think it was a mistake. So it's $20,000 for the munch and started a campaign for marketing. You can see that in the end that actually hurt him, because he started selling and then bottomed out and then bottomed out and then bottomed out, and then finally started getting stuff back again. But every time you bottom out, you're losing sales. So if you're putting 20 grand into marketing and not selling anything because you're out of inventory, not a good move. If you had done what I did with the keeping the price consistent up here, just all the way throughout, you would have more inventory of Alleycat and not have to worry about running out of that as much. And you could focus more on the munch so you don't run out of inventory. And that, I think, was the main mistake, is focusing too much on the Alleycat and a little bit too much on the Edgar, actually, in the summer months. If you were to let one thing bottom out, it should be your Edgar, not anything else. And it should only be in the summer months. And you can see the only thing that you consistently bottomed out of was, that's not true. It bottomed out of a few things, but especially Munch when you started that marketing campaign. So the Taj Mahal bottomed out once too, but only once. And this is another mistake up here. I don't know if just wasn't looking at the amount of inventory left or what happened here, but way too much inventory is happening here. You could have stopped buying inventory about, November 1st. I know that with my simulation, keeping the prices consistent all the way through, I was just buying like one of everything from October on, pretty much, or like two of everything, and made it just around here with inventory and didn't have to worry about losing any money. And I was selling plenty, but made good profit here with the Edgar, the amount of Edgar you're selling. if you had kept the price consistent here, you also wouldn't have bottomed out at Alley Cat, which would have made you a little bit more money, but not too much more money if we're being honest. So no mistake there. This is probably the second biggest mistake, and this is probably the biggest mistake with the marketing campaign and overstocking inventory. And I think a lot of that is due to price changes, except for, this one's obviously marketing's fault, but price changes would have made this graph look a little bit different. So let's see what else. There's talking about doing test runs and the just a lot of the stuff you need to do just in order to survive on this, like pausing, stopping, and starting the simulation. He did this mostly for price changes, which again I didn't do, but it seemed to work okay. So starting, or the queue is a great analytical tool. You can't really do this without that because you need to make sure you're putting in 4 or 5 orders in this case because of the fifth fermenter every 2 weeks, every week, I think it is, every week, just to make sure you don't run out of inventory. But again, catch-22, put too much inventory in, this happens. So, talks about the fifth fermenter here somewhere. There it is, fifth fermenter. You absolutely need this in order to succeed on this project. You cannot succeed without it. And he talked about paying off his loans, which is another smart thing to do that you just need to do in order to succeed the assignment, I think. So, that's pretty much it. And he goes into talking about how just running it over and over again was the best way for him to learn how to do this. I did it over and over again, and I did fine until we got to the last assignment where we had to break that 400 mark, and I couldn't do it until I had someone point out to me the fifth fermenter and some of these other tips here that he's obviously figured out. So those are my insights to this. I mean, both got around the same number, to be honest, but again, just those little tidbits, those little tips, I think that might help with performance. And again, I'm no expert, but those are just my observations. And that's everything.